April 30th, 2026. Can everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you so much. Ray, can you call the attendance, please?
Yes, Ms. Jacobs is
She's
absent.
absent.
Mr. Kelleher,
Here.
Ms. Lindstrom,
Here.
Ms. Mauer,
Here.
Mr. Rockenstar,
Here.
Ms. Tarpinian.
Here.
Mr. Peony Huff,
Here.
Ms. Ruskina,
Here.
Ms. Claret.
Here. Thank you. Agenda item 1.0 is approval of the meeting minutes for April 1st, 2026, executive session, and for April 2nd, 2026 business meeting. If there are no objections, we will approve them as presented. All right. Agenda item 2.0 are adjustments to the agenda. I do have two adjustments this evening. One is the mix and mingle that is 8.1. It's under new business. I would like to move that up to 4.0. So it'll be the new 4.0. And then the second is to create a new business item, a new discussion and vote about adding a special meeting for the budget, budget changes, that second reading of the budget. So that can be our new, we'll make that our new 8.1. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you so much. Okay, agenda item 3.0 is recognition. 3.1 is the middle school cast of Annie Jr. Did you want to tee this up?
Yeah, so we're really excited this evening to have so many members from the Annie Junior cast. If you were fortunate enough to go and see them when they presented, they were fantastic. And we are so excited for them to come here tonight and do a couple of numbers for the benefit of the board and the larger community. And so with that, I will pass it off to you.
Hey, hello everybody. My name is Matt Bird. I'm a sports teacher at the middle school as well as the music director for this fantastic cast of students who are about to perform for you today. We're going to start with a duet performed by Charlotte Follansby and Nathaniel Bliss, who played Annie and Oliver Warbucks. In this scene, if you don't know the show, Oliver Warbucks has just decided that he wants to adopt Annie. So they're singing this happy, joyous number about that. So I will invite them up to the stage to perform. Here are Charlotte. Face this way? They're gonna face this way.
Yes.
The mic will pick you up, so you can go all right.
Dead forever. We're tying a knot. They never can sever. You'll be sunshine I don't need anything but you. Yesterday was plain awful. If you can say that again. Yesterday was plain awful. That's what's up. More than now, you wish with my ears, but nothing on earth could ever divide us. And if you are going, we'll together too. I don't need anything, anything, anything. I don't need anything but you.
Fantastic. And as you know, if you've ever seen the musical Annie, eventually Annie is adopted by Oliver Warbucks. It's a grand finale, a big old happy ending. And here to celebrate that is our final number from the show, The Reprise of Tomorrow, with the whole cast of Annie.
Bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be some just thinking about tomorrow. There's away the cobwebs and the sorrow. Till there's none. Suddenly the day that's gray and lonely. I just pick up my chin and the sun will come down tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come on now. Always a day out. I don't need to. You're always a
Oh, yes. All right, does anybody have any comments or anything they'd like to say? Yes, go ahead, Chrissy.
Just how wonderful it is to see, all these voices being lifted by the choral program. I had the chance to interview both Mr. LaBerge and our high school, choral director, and it came out as a Scarborough Living article, but it was so wonderful to meet all the staff and the students that I got to interview and the performances I got to see. So it's really inspiring, and thank you for everything you do for our children. It's really, really wonderful.
Okay, so I'll say a couple of things. First off, I love the theater. I belong to the theater. I love the theater. I love going and seeing plays. And I looked at our high school cast in the last 2 or 3 years, and I was wondering how anybody was going to replace them because they were so good and they were so powerful. And then I come and see this, and I couldn't believe I was looking at a group of middle schoolers. And you should be so proud of yourself, the way you emote, the way you sing, the way you act, the way you interact with each other. It's really, really incredible that you're still so young and you're able to do these amazing big things. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of skill, and it is incredible to watch you. And we had you come, as you know, for the community's benefit, we had you come to our senior dinner. And when I tell you that I stood at the exit and talked to more senior citizens than I can tell you, that asked where they could see you, how they could see you again, how good you were. There's a real disconnect when, this is older than you, but when your kids grow up and you don't have kids in the school anymore, there's a little disconnect, right? They don't see the things that happen all the time. And so for them to be able to see you perform was so special and so wonderful for them. I can't impress upon you enough. I sent more text messages to senior citizens with information about how to come watch you, what the dates were, where they should go, the times, everything. They were so impressed. And Jillian and I went, and some of those people that were at the dinner were there to watch you perform. And so you should know that your talents and your skills impress all of us and impress everybody in this room, but it impresses so many in the community that come and watch you, and you should be so, so proud of yourselves. So congratulations. Thank you so much for coming and singing for us. That was wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do. They are a wonderful group. I know you have a very large group of students and you have parents in this community, you should know, that advocate very loudly for you. So you should know. All right, I'll take a minute if you want to go. You're welcome to stay for our meeting if you'd like. But if you would like to go, I understand that as well. So we'll give you a minute and let you go ahead and leave if you'd like, but we can't wait to see what's next. Thank you so much.
Important moment.
I might not be working. Yes, feel free to, now I'm working.
Oh, we got the Daggles.
The whole family.
Got the Daggles.
All right, wonderful. All right, our agenda item 3.2 is the spotlight staff recognition.
All right. So we have the April Spotlight Award winner with us tonight, and that person is here. If you want to go ahead. Yep. Jillian Daigle. All right, and the person that nominated Jillian is Elizabeth Mitchell. All right, and so we have a little written about Jillian, Mrs. Daigle, excuse me. Jillian started with us in 2018. She has taught first and second grade at Blue Point. Prior to working for us, she taught at Bonnie Eagle. Jillian has taken on the position of principal of Blue Point this past year and has demonstrated a high level of leadership and maintains a high quality environment for families, children, and staff. And we have a little video to play.
We have a technical difficulty,
Oh,
so we brought in the live speaker.
oh,
Okay.
all right.
So Elizabeth, thank you.
Podium. Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna look at you while I say this. I nominated Jillian not only for the professionalism and expertise that she's demonstrated since jumping in as interim principal in January, fresh off of our 2-week winter break. She tackled it head on and has just done nothing but support every staff member, every student, every person that crosses into Blue Point. And even prior to becoming principal, I had the privilege of observing her in her classroom and kind of working together with her to help support some of her students, help support her if she needed a break, fill her water, anything like that. And if there was ever someone that was made for a classroom, it was Jillian. The way that she loves her students is inspiring. She cares so much. She gives so much of herself to her students. And we are just all so lucky to kind of be led by you now, but also just kind of be around. And I feel so grateful to have learned from you myself.
All right, we have a few things to read also that others wrote in to speak about, and Cressy's going to read the next one.
So I'm going to read what Hallie Thomas has to say about Ms. Daigle. I had the privilege of working with Jillian for nearly 5 years. And while I've always known how great she is, these past few months have made it even more clear. Watching her step into the role of interim principal so gracefully has been truly inspiring. She took on something completely new and handled it with such heart, strength, and care. She's the kind of person everyone naturally turns to, always ready to help, listen, and lift others up, no matter how much she has on her plate. Her kindness, empathy, and hold on.
Overall.
Move to the next one.
And overall, boy, this is not. And genuine love for the school shine through in, darn, this was, in everything she does. We are very lucky to have her in any capacity at Blue Point School.
Little bit so
Yeah.
that I can read the whole thing. All right. All right, and then this is another message from Blue Point's kindergarten staff. The kindergarten team is so proud to work with Jillian Daigle. Since she stepped into the role as our leader, she has made a huge difference for our school community. She is student-centered, kind, supportive, organized, and works incredibly hard for her students and staff. We are lucky to have her in this role this year. Thank you for everything, Jillian.
And a message from Blue Point's first grade staff. Jillian has done a tremendous job taking over as principal. She immediately began working with teams and staff to see what everyone needed moving forward. Every day, Jillian places students' learning and emotional well-being as a primary focus for any decisions that are made. Jillian provides clear and consistent communication with staff and families, creating a warm and welcoming environment for all. We have been so lucky to have her as our leader.
And now a message from the second grade staff. Jillian has a kind and gentle nature in all that she does. This is evident in her classroom as well as the energy she continues to bring in her role as interim principal. As principal, Jillian makes connections with all the students and families. She includes Kindness Corner nominations in the newsletter each week so that families can read about our kind students. In addition, Jillian frequently calls families of students who have been making great choices for those who have been shouted out by staff members. They're just to share some good news.
In addition to putting students first, Jillian supports staff by protecting their time and energy. She has an open door for all staff for whatever they need and will lend an ear to anything they share. She also actively reaches out to staff, checking in and following up. She advocates for teachers and is an active and present leader. Jillian jumps right in to help problem solve, even coming into the lunchroom to support a positive environment. She's incredibly warm, loving, honest, and personable.
Even though she is not currently teaching in her classroom, you can still feel the warmth and love that she has cultivated with her students. It is evident in how they care for one another as well as how they care for Jillian. She makes time to have lunch with her class once a week, and she is actively involved in all classrooms. She has offered to come into classrooms for read alouds, making the effort to be present across the school. And if Jillian, if you could come up here so we could present your.
Great.
Thank you very much. I truly feel like I'm only just a product of the amazing people that I've met along my journey, starting at Bonnie Eagle with Diane. And I'm just so blessed and lucky that as I continue on this journey, I keep collecting these amazing people, and the majority of them I get to work with. And it's just truly an honor to be able to represent them in this role, but to always be able to call them my colleagues and friends. So thank you very much.
Right, is there any comments? What? If you want to, yeah.
I just want to say Blue Point is a very special place, and we have, the community has benefited tremendously from your joining, and actually not just joining, but really agreeing to go into a role in a very difficult situation, and managing it with such grace, and able to give support to everybody around you. That is a truly incredible effort in a difficult situation that really you've shown why we are so lucky to have benefited from so many wonderful staff members, including you. And you really have taken it, and you've taken this leadership opportunity and really have just done an amazing job at making sure everybody feels comfortable with your leadership. Change is scary for everybody. And so you've managed that beautifully. So I just want to say that from one of the family members of Blue Point, we've really enjoyed and benefited from you, and we appreciate you so much.
I'll just add on, when we, it's no secret to anybody in this room, we've been trying to pass a school project for a long time. And one of the things that, when the school failed the first time, one of the big reasons was because people value the connections they make at the K-2 schools. And so to Freyla's point, we did ask you to come in at a hard time and do hard things. And the fact that you have come in and it has been flawless and seamless is not because of us and the decisions we made, but it's because of you and the way you lead and the way you care and the way that you show up for your colleagues, for your families, and for your kids. So thank you so very much. This was a big ask, and you really rose to the occasion. So thank you so much. Aren't you glad we moved your presentation now? All right, agenda item, the new 4.0 is the mix and mingle waiver request.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Robin Poulin, and I'm a representative from the Mix and Mingle Square Dance Club. I'm here to request a waiver for the use of the multipurpose room and the custodial fees at the Eight Corners School on Thursday evenings from the start of the school year, beginning in September 2026 through June 2027. Just to give you a little background, we're a nonprofit group, and we've danced in Scarborough schools for over 30 years. There are 9 clubs in our state, and this year our club has had 7 new students with approximately 30 dancers each week. The age of our dancers runs from their 20s through 95, and she's amazing. Each week, they're taught new calls, and by the end of the school year, a person will have learned all the mainstream calls, which they can then dance anywhere on the globe where square dances are being held. Our club will be holding its annual meeting soon, and they'll vote on donations. We make donations to the Salvation Army, food pantries, and the Scarborough school system, as well as some other places. The donation to the school system in the past years has been between $500 and $750. Square dancing is a great form of exercise, and socializing, and we appreciate the use of the space. And thank you very much for your time and consideration.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the mix and mingle waiver request as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much and enjoy your next year of dancing. All right, agenda item 5.0 is the presentations and 5.1 is the Pleasant Hill School presentation. So for this, we'll invite Jen Humphreys up there. Yes.
All right, good evening, everybody. I am the very proud principal of Pleasant Hill School, and I'm really pleased to be with you tonight to share with you some of the successes that we've seen at Pleasant Hill this year, and you're about to find out why I'm the proud principal of Pleasant Hill. And so thank you, Cheryl, for moving us through the slides. Are you moving us? Oh, you are. Okay, I'm going to give you the thumbs up every time. Okay. All right, thank you. So one of the things I wanted to start off with this evening was to really talk about the vibe setting that happens from the very first day of school. Actually, during kinder camp in the summertime is when it starts. And I couldn't be more pleased to tell you about how the many ways our staff really reaches out to connect with students on a daily basis. This year, we had a special project I'd like to share with you that was called Student Connections. And we really went through a process of looking at who our students were, who was new to us at school, who were some of the students who've been around a while, who maybe have flown under the radar a little bit. And we wanted to make sure we were connecting with each and every one, making them feel welcome. And so we went through a process where every single staff member looked through our list of students. Who do I have connections with and conversations with on a daily basis? What do I know about these students? And we tried to figure out who were the students who might have only had just one beyond their classroom teacher. So we tried to really intentionally make some student and adult connections, and you see evidence of that in our halls every day. And I think students over the course of the year have had that sense of welcome and belonging really increase, and that's been through an intentional effort from our staff. So super proud of that work. You'll see that later in my presentation, I'll talk about our goals at Pleasant Hill. But one of the things that really is evident as I look through the pictures that we have from the whole course of the school year, the teamwork and cooperation that we really foster in our students is evident in so many of the pictures. So I just really wanted to highlight that for you tonight. These pictures bring me a lot of joy. And I know that when you watch staff help students learn to grow in those types of skills, it's really heartwarming. So I wanted to share those with you tonight as well. I'm giving the thumbs up over here. Okay. So Pleasant Hill by the numbers. We have 175 students with us this year at Pleasant Hill. We have academic and behavioral support programs happening, as well as OT, PT, speech, and social work. We do have 2 resource rooms, and this year we're very pleased to say that we've added a functional life skills classroom to our school, and that has not existed in the last couple of years. And I'd really like to say how that has been such a breath of fresh air at Pleasant Hill. Right from the get-go, when our staff heard that this was going to be a possibility last spring, they got really excited, and they started talking right away about the ways that they could welcome our new students to Pleasant Hill, and also how we could help the rest of the students to welcome them in and to befriend them and to include them. And some of the that work has been so awe-inspiring because it has taken every single staff member to do that work and really collaborate together. One of the things that has been noticeable this year is that staff have gathered on a weekly basis to talk about individual students and how their mainstream time is going and what we can do to facilitate that even better. So that's been really great to witness this year. 20% of our students at Pleasant Hill are receiving academic support. And also another 20% are students with IEPs, and 5% of our students at Pleasant Hill are on 504 plans. One of the things that I'm very proud to say today is that our reading scores from last year this time to this year this time have gone up 5% across the 3 grade levels. And I'm very pleased with that. And so I put a little bit of library data in here. There's been a lot of work by our new K through 2 librarian to really cull and look at how to reinvigorate our classroom and school library collection. And, you know, the wins we see in our reading scores are due to that, and of course are due to the quality instruction that's happening and the level of differentiation. This year we have engaged in some very in-depth data conversations, and those have been very planful and have looked at every single student's data across a multitude of data points. And that has caused the staff to really collaborate together. And that can be really hard work when we dig in together and we are vulnerable together about our students' data. And I couldn't be more proud of our staff at how much they've grown in that area and really leaned into that important work to differentiate for students. Our library has been very active this year. Over 9,000 books were checked in and out to students and staff, as you can see. And in that refresh of our collection, 17% of the new books that were added to our school's library have been diverse character books. We've really put an effort into that to make sure that students can see themselves and their families within our school collections. All right. So these goals that you see before you are going to look really familiar because they were built off of the district's goals. And that work was started by the board, of course, and then our district leadership committee came together last summer and really tried to create goals that made sure that we were all rowing in the same direction. And so these goals will look very familiar, looking at how we can make sure that we're really engaging our community of parents and by extension, our students and staff as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. And then secondarily, how we create that sense of community and inclusion, how we welcome, how we foster that sense of belonging to really make sure that all students are engaged in our school community and can really reach their potential and find academic and social, emotional growth as well. All right. All right, so this all begins with community building, as we know. When kids want to feel connected with their school, when staff and community members want to feel connected, we bring them together. And our work last spring was to encourage summer reading. And we sent out a summer reading challenge to all students and told them that if they met a certain number of books read, pages read, we would come together and do a Pleasant Hill rock band. So that's what you're seeing here. And I will not sing any of it for you because I had the K-pop Demon Hunters Golden song, which I re-lyricized to be all about reading. And it was an earworm that lasted months. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. And this next summer, I'm planning to put out that I'll kiss a pig if they read a certain number of pages. And Sarah Redmond from the Transportation Department has promised me her pig. Yes, so we'll be looking forward to that. So community meetings at Pleasant Hill also really are an opportunity for us to encourage students to practice being public speakers, right? So many people have this as a fear, public speaking, getting up in front of people to talk in front of a crowd. So you can see I'm weighted down with the firefighter's outfit there, but passing the microphone to students to get their opinions, to get their thoughts on certain things that we're discussing, getting up to present their projects, doing the morning announcements. It's an opportunity to grow confidence and community all at one time. All right. This is a big point of pride for us at Pleasant Hill this year, inspired by the work that was done at Blue Point. Last year, we instituted something called Pleasant Hill Pals, where PLT groups, our professional learning teams, came together and did this work to really make sure that each classroom got a chance to connect with the other classrooms in the school. And believe it or not, in a tiny little place like Pleasant Hill, you could go your whole day, with your classroom of students. And it's so easy to do that. We get busy with the curriculum and the student needs. But this has been an opportunity for us to really reach down the hallway. We've heard wonderful feedback about this from staff. Boy, I got to reconnect with a teacher I taught with years ago, and we had a great conversation about the work that's happening. Or students mentioning during community meetings that I met a new friend, and that's just wonderful to see. And so the inclusion starts kind of at a grassroots way in our community meetings and in these wonderful Pleasant Hill Pals interactions. It also happens at special events when we come together for things like our book character parade in the fall. This year, we instituted something called Drop Everything and Read, which a lot of elementary school people will say sounds very familiar. But we hadn't done it in a few years at Pleasant Hill, and all staff and students lined the hallways and read together. And we've done this a couple of times throughout the year, and everyone really loves that time together to read. It allows the staff as well to really model being a reader. And so we've really enjoyed that this year. Another piece of really making sure that each and every student feels included is how we celebrate each other. Inclusion isn't just about acceptance or tolerance. It's about celebration of each of our unique characteristics. And I'm so joyful every time we hold a monthly birthday luncheon. I sit with the kids in the lunchroom and talk about, their birthdays or their favorite activities and things like that. It's a great way to connect with the students. They get to invite a friend to join them at lunchtime. So they're connecting with kids maybe that they don't have as peers in their classroom this year. But you can see this type of connection among students all the time as they encourage one another. Another way we celebrate students is in our weekly newsletters that go home to families. When students get caught being kind, safe, or focused, they're highlighted and we take their picture, we deliver that to them with some congratulations, a positive phone call home from the office happens, and then they're highlighted in the newsletters. And you can see the pride in their faces in these pictures. Down at the bottom right, you'll see how they're tabulating tickets collected. So every time you're caught being safe, kind, or focused, you get a ticket and you get a vote for a fun school-wide event. So it becomes an individual thing and also a school-wide celebration. All right. One of the things that our staff has worked extremely hard at this year is really boosting the amount of times we're inviting families to come in and out of our school. And that's been so, so nice. We've had some great opportunities as usual for things like play day, and we will have field day coming up soon. But we've also had parents in for lunch this year, and they sat with their students at first grade and had lunch with them. They did a craft with them. They've come in as guest speakers and mystery readers. They've come in to talk about their careers. This year we had an assembly about holidays around the world in December and had a few of our families come in to talk about their unique holiday traditions. And that was a really nice way to highlight something different, a tradition that maybe some of our student body and even our staff hadn't been familiar with before. And it just highlights the unique specialness of each of our families. So that was a nice addition this year. Another piece that we have put some effort into this year is to maintain some real positive connections with our community and also to develop some new ones. So, our ongoing relationship with Junior Achievement has continued. We've had lessons happening scheduled again this year to bring some economy lessons to our second graders so they can learn about rights and responsibilities of a citizen in a town and about running a business in a town and how that would feel to them. So it's been inspiring for some of our students. The other connection that we are maintaining this year is our main agriculture in the classroom connection. We partnered this year with Windy Acres Farms from Saco and, learned about high bush blueberries and read a read aloud and had some tastings and things like that. So that was a really nice connection. But a new connection for us this year is Spoons Across America. This was an opportunity that came down the pike to us, and we jumped right on it. And we were very fortunate to be one of just a few schools to be selected to get this opportunity from Spoons Across America, where they gifted us with some cooking materials, some supplies. And so it has connections to lessons that can be related to culinary arts that'll help us connect with our Pleasant Hill Gardens. So we're excited to bring that to students this year. And then a big, exciting opportunity this year was our connection with the Cromwell Center. Some of you might be familiar with that. I used to work with them years ago when I taught in RSU 21. And the Cromwell Center is a center for disabilities. And their mission is to drive awareness about disabilities and an appreciation and celebration of those challenges, but also sometimes some unique traits that make children and adults have special skills that maybe we didn't recognize. They talk about things like how some disabilities are seen and some are unseen, and helping us to understand that. So our PTA very generously this year offered to fund the connection with the Cromwell Center, not just at Pleasant Hill, but at all 3 K-2 schools. And part of their stipulation was that they wanted us to host a parent night so that parents could learn about what their offerings were. So we did that this year on Zoom. Next year, hopefully, maybe even do that in person. But it was a wonderful opportunity for first and second grade students to have really individualized lessons around disabilities awareness. And so we're really pleased with that work and hope to continue that connection. This year, another big new opportunity for us was to invite Wabanaki Studies to come into our schools, and this happened across the 3 schools as well. You see pictured here Minquansis Sapiel, who came to our school to teach about the history of the Wabanaki tribe in Maine and basket making. You can see some of the children dancing and singing, listening to some of the drumming. And that was really enjoyed by students and staff this year. So thanks to the team of folks across the district who made that possible. We had teachers, curriculum department, we had librarians working together to make that possible. So we look forward to continuing with that. And last but certainly not least this year, we've been creative and tried to strategize as a leadership council. How could we bring world language down into the K-2 level? And that hasn't been possible. The budget has not allowed for that in years past. And so we've tried to be really creative. Our solution this year was to bring our wonderful world language teacher, Nikki Vafiatis from Wentworth, down to the 3 K-2 schools. So she's spending a trimester at each school this year at second grade to give them a little bit of taste of Espanol. So when they get over to Wentworth, they have a little bit of background experience, and they'll know Nikki, of course, when they get there too. So that'll be another bonus. Her activities have been really varied, and she's doing a lot of hands-on things with the students, getting them active and engaged with some games and songs. So we've really been thankful to Nikki this year. And I'll close with this slide because it really is the essence of Pleasant Hill. It's the essence of Scarborough Schools, and that's why it's in our lobby. Everyone is different and everyone belongs. And this really has been the core tenet of our work this year as we focused in on connecting with our community, as we focused on really making sure we're including each and every learner, and also through our work with Pleasant Hill staff to connect every single student and to connect staff to one another at the same time as we're roping families in. So that's really so characteristic of who we are. And hopefully a picture told 1,000 words through my presentation tonight, and you got a sense of what it feels like to be at Pleasant Hill. So thanks for taking time to hear a little update tonight. Yeah.
All right, are there any questions or comments for Jen?
Just wanted to say, I personally love when our mission statements and the school's long-range planning documents and individual schools really marry together kind of the vision of the district. And I think you've done so here really nicely. And I think we struggled with the definition of DEI a few workshops ago, and really trying to think about like not what it means on a large level, but really on an individual level. For Scarborough, what does it mean to us, and why is it something that we value here, and what does that mean? And I think you've really put that into action in a way that I haven't seen before, not taking away from anyone else, but just really the idea that you have intentionally tried to promote for every individual student in your school a personal relationship, not only with their classroom teacher, but with other adults and students within the district on every single level, from how you're addressing being safe, focused, and kind, how you're and rewarding that, and then really marrying that with celebration and celebrating all that, because all that positive reinforcement, which is what that is, right? Positively reinforcing all the things we want to see and all the things that we value in each other. And really, you said something that really resonated with me strongly, which is I look for the kids that kind of fall under the radar. And that is so important because it's so easy to get lost in, and our schools are not large schools, but in this classroom of 18 people, there are students that they're not disruptive and loud and getting attention. They're not really standing out for one reason or another. They're just solid. They're what makes most of us is just that solid, performance where they show up every day. They do what they need to do. And taking time to really cultivate appreciation for each individual in that situation is so important. And it's so valuable. And it makes me so proud of the district, of the work that you've done. And it goes through every single thing that you touched on, from the way you do lunch, the way that you do celebrations, the way that you do the library, the way that you've really intentionally created an environment where you're including students who often get put to the side or are more difficult to accommodate. But you haven't taken that challenge on as a challenge. You've looked at it as a way to celebrate and embrace it. And that really promotes the values of this district, and in a way that is, I want to commend you. That is amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. And, I have to say, our staff has embraced these goals so wholeheartedly that not only do our goals align with the district and the board's goals, but their professional goals for the year also align. And it feels so good to all be rowing in the same direction. They strategize with each other constantly about how to really reach every student. And that happens every single day. And that's the work that they're so good at, and I'm so proud of. And I just get to have fun alongside them. All right, thanks very much.
Hold on, I think we had one more question.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm going to echo some of the things that Freyla said. I'm impressed that you are building relationships between students, between teachers and students, with the community. It's just sort of this holistic, team and building and community building. And that really brings to life that, everyone is unique. We're looking out for every individual, but you're part of a school family, a school community. And just really appreciate that. So
Thank you. And that's not something that you check the box on. It's continuous work, right? Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 6.0 is general public comment. If there's anyone wishing to make, is there anyone wishing to make general public comment on something not on the agenda? Okay, so let me go over the rules really quickly. Each citizen is limited to one presentation per topic. Please address your comments to me as the chair. There will be a light up at the front that will flash. I think you probably know it, but it'll flash green when you're within your 3 minutes. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Yellow is when your time is about done and red is please wrap up. All right, so if you just want to come on up, you can line up and when I can find.
Hey guys, I'm Jim Marshall. I live at 7 Inspiration Drive. I first of all want to thank you members that responded to my students' emails when we were doing the argument and advocacy unit. I know you took the time to be thoughtful in your responses to the issues that my students brought up, and I think it's really important for kids to have agency and also to participate in democracy. And I know that you put time into that, and I really do appreciate your efforts. I just want to speak today about the school budget. And I just wanted you to know, I'm going to repeat these to town council meeting as well. And I understand we need to keep an eye on property taxes. We need to have a good bond rating. We also need to carry a good fund balance into the next year. That's incredibly important. However, the proposed budget cuts will negatively impact the education of our children, the grandchildren, our neighbors' children. The budget provided by the district is the best estimate providing a high-quality, world-class education for all students. Due to obligations and spending mandated by the state, there's very little wiggle room in the budget. Cuts will have a detrimental impact, and negative impacts like these tend to compound over time. Hanging our hat to arbitrary numbers like a 0 or 2% property tax increases also don't jive with the facts, like the inflation rate being at least 3.5% over the last year. Maybe we don't end up at a 6% property tax increase, but cutting to conform to an arbitrary number like 2% will do harm to the educational programming we provide to for our students and for the families that we serve. I think you should have those kids sing at the next budget meeting for the town council. Thank you very much.
My name is Joellen Clive, and I live at 156 Black Point Road. I'm speaking tonight because we've heard the recent call to unplug our schools and remove technology from classrooms. While I understand concerns regarding screen time for children, moving backward is not a viable strategy for our students' future. Technology is not just supplemental. It's a transformative tool, and it's critical to a modern education. Technology gives us authentic, global, and real-world connections. It opens doors to real-life understandings that are simply not possible in the four walls of a classroom. Through digital tools, our students can collaborate with peers across the globe, access primary source documents in real time, and learn from subject matter experts anywhere in the world. It turns the classroom from a static environment into a dynamic window to our world. Technology facilitates equity and workforce readiness. Let's be honest about the stakes. Digital literacy is a core survival skill in today's society. If we remove these tools, we're sending our students into college and the workforce at a massive disadvantage. For many, school is the only place that they can gain proficiency in the software and the systems that are standard in every professional field. To deny them this exposure is to widen that digital divide and send them behind their peers before they even graduate. Technology enhances engagement and personalization. Technology facilitates personalized learning in a way that allows teachers to meet every student where they are. It provides flexibility to support students who are struggling, and it provides an accelerated path for others, ensuring that no student is left behind. We shouldn't be asking how to get rid of technology, but rather, how can we use it better with purpose and with balance? We can support healthy boundaries and a heads-up engagement for our students without stripping away the tools that make modern innovation possible. I urge the board to stand firm in its commitment to a modern education. Let's focus on better digital citizenship and smarter integration rather than a retreat into the past. Thank you for your time and for your dedication to our students.
You guys are great sitting there all this time. I'm Andrea Davis, and I'm at 2 Crossing Drive, and I want to talk about electronics in the classroom and then what's brought home. And I appreciate that you brought it up for conversation and that it's going to take us some time to get through and dig out the data. What I want to call out is that there are probably more parents in Scarborough who are struggling with this, but because we're the first generation of parents who've needed to raise our kids with this stuff, and we grew, like, we're learning as we're trying to help them. And my call to you all is we as parents need your help. And what we need you to do is look at all the data, strip out the bias. We had a presentation in the workshop that the teachers were surveyed to get additional information about when they use the electronics and how they use it. There were 2 quotes, and both of them supported using these tools in the classroom. There was, maybe we didn't get any feedback that was negative, but we don't know that because we didn't see all the data. I would urge you to say, we have these apps, we have these computers. There has to be data behind the scenes. So it's concrete black and white data as to how the students and the teachers are using it in the classroom. The questions were good. They need to be broken out. Clumping K through 12 teachers and how they use this is not solid data. It's a good place to start, but it's not going to help us make decisions and do what's best, in my opinion. We were just told that the K2 students use the computers about 20 minutes or so. They don't use it very often. It doesn't go home. So what's the return on investment in purchasing a computer for every K2 student? And now we're going to start talking about the pre-K students. Are we going to buy computers for them? Or is that a budget line that we can evaluate to determine, is it really useful? And then look at all the apps. I don't know about you, but I have plenty of streaming services that if I remove one, I can buy myself an ice cream because it's going to save me $15, right? So let's dig into those numbers. Sorry, I had to do these bullets because I wasn't allowed, I couldn't keep all of these. One thing I want to say is that my family is screen-free when they come home. We don't watch TV on school nights, and I've had to extend that to computers and all the things, right? But then my daughter comes home and says, but Mom, it's math and it's a video game. And I have no way of knowing, should she be doing the video game for 15 minutes or can she get sucked into it for 60 minutes? And I don't have a leg to stand on because I have no direction from the teacher, whether or not she has to do this or it's voluntary. Another thing is my son said he did math in class on the computer, fought with the computer. Then he went to the teacher and the teacher's like, that's not how I taught you. Forget what you're doing. We have to do this a different way. I'm a touch typist. My kids love typing.com, but they're doing this so they can win the competition. But I'm faster than they are because I have my keys on the home row. So there's a place and there's a time, but we need to understand what's right. Thank you.
Is there anyone online? Yeah. All right. Do you want to give them, allow them to speak? Duncan, you should be okay to talk, and I'll just, since you're online, I'll give you a heads up when your 3 minutes is up. And then if there's anybody else online who'd like to speak tonight, if you would just raise your Zoom hand, we'll call you in order that we see it. Okay, go ahead, Duncan.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I'd like to thank the board and everyone here tonight. You guys do a great job. I would just like to say I think the proposed budget cuts are a little too severe and are very impactful to those who need services most. And I would also like to say that Principal Humphreys rocks. And I got 2 guys who want to say Principal Humphreys. But thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, thank you, Duncan. Oh, thank you, Duncan. Is there anyone else online wishing to make public comment? All right, and seeing none in the room, did someone, Oh, sorry. Yeah, if you're wanting to make a public comment, just go ahead and line up for me.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ellen Coughlin Quinn. And I have 3 kids in the schools. And again, kudos to Mrs. Humphrey. I thought that was a great presentation. And I can attest that she's done a great job at Pleasant Hill. Thank you to the board for starting an important conversation on educational technology. I appreciate the effort to bring this topic forward. I know more conversations are going to happen, but I'd like to request some more transparency, particularly around educational games. I'm wondering if the district can share a list with us of approved educational technology games. Every day my kids come home telling me about mathfluency.com, multiplication by heart, timestables.com, brain camp, Brain Pop Junior, Math with Annie and Moby, Math Playground, Drift Boss, which doesn't even pretend to have any educational value. And I'm curious if there's a list and if we can see it, and where is the data on these, that they're effective. I'm worried about the knee-jerk reactions to educational technology, and I want to make sure that the conversation is based on the brain science and the research. I'd also point out that some of the educational games include advertisements that my kids are doing at school, as does YouTube, which is allowed on computers in grades 6 through 12. And I'm wondering how the district is thinking about advertising and commercial content in student-facing tools, and how we can continue to prioritize a learning environment that minimizes those influences. I'm also concerned about AI and its use in our schools. Already it's on our students' computers through Google and Google Docs. And I'm worried that the friction in learning is being removed. Excuse me, I'm worried that friction is being removed because the friction is the learning. While it's helpful to hear what the teachers are reporting, I think it's important to interpret the data with caution. It may reflect intentions or perceptions, but not necessarily what's consistently happening in practice. So again, I thank you for starting this important conversation. It was a great first step, and appreciate your willingness to engage in this important topic, especially as more and more data becomes available. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to make public comment this evening? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment. Agenda item 7.0 is the public hearing on the FY27 school budget. Do we have Kate? Oh, there you are. Like, where did you were hiding?
Sleeping? No.
Kate, you've got to look at your audience this evening.
I know, this is great, right? We made a lot of these guys come though. So.
Don't sell yourself short now.
I have paper. We do have some of these things linked in, and I'm going to take you through a couple of very simple slides that are sort of typical of what we do at the public hearing, just to frame our work so far. And we actually will have an opportunity for folks to speak on the budget in the public hearing piece, which we've already heard some comments, which I think is great, under general public comment. So just to set the stage, we have passed the first reading of the education budget with the school board. That happened on March 19th. And if you're following along on the slide deck or watching this meeting online afterwards, you can click right in there. I'll make a pitch for our budget portal, which has a ton of information and resources. That's in one of these slides as well. After the school board passed the education budget, the full municipal budget went to the town council and the public, as was presented and passed in first reading by the town council on April 1st. The town council's second reading and vote is what actually creates the adopted budget for the municipality for the coming year. That's happening on May 20th. And then the school portion of the budget will go to referendum the second week in June. This is a snapshot of the budget as it was presented at first reading. This is labeled the Leadership Council's budget proposal. This is what Our school leader team brought forward to the board. We did multiple workshops with the board. We've spent a lot of time talking about what's in the budget, and you all get this one slide, which summarizes the bottom line of our operating budget and non-tax revenues. And then that bottom line is the tax request to the town, which is folded into the municipal budget and is what helps create the increase in the tax rate that we've all been talking about. Oh, we have some nice transitions here. I'm famous for picking up the wrong slide transitions. It's like a slow roll. So this year, yeah, keep going, man. It's all night long, right?
Kate, Kate needs a technology lesson.
No, actually, that was an excellent use of technology. See how dramatic this is? This is so great. So in this year's budget deliberations, the Town Council Finance Committee has been working on a review of the budget proposal as a whole. And they have identified a target tax rate increase of 2%. In order to accomplish that from the budget that was presented in first reading, they need an overall reduction of about $3.6 million to get from the tax rate increase that would be created by the budget that's sitting out there right now to a tax rate increase of 2%. The $2.19 million is the portion of that reduction that would be needed from the education budget, and then the other piece would be picked up by reductions in the town budget. So we've been spending a lot of time talking about this over the past 3 weeks. Our leadership team has put together a set of proposals, which is that first link on there, the proposed reductions worksheet, which actually reduces across all departments, with the exception of school nutrition, which is self-funded, so it doesn't help the tax rate. All departments, all areas of the school department, and has levels, tiers of potential reduction, starting from things that are really easy to grab and going through harder and harder levels of reductions and more impactful levels of reductions. Our goals as school leaders in doing this work, which no one really likes to do, it's not something we set out to do, but we did have this task in front of us, and so we set ourselves 2 goals: to protect the high quality educational experience of our students to the greatest extent possible, and to honor our commitment to our staff by not reducing positions to the extent that we needed to create layoffs and have people going without jobs. So you see the details on the slide a little bit here. This information was brought to the School Board Finance Committee on April 28th, this past Tuesday. We just presented the same information to the Town Council Finance Committee today, just before this meeting. And so this is all fairly new information. It was basically a task set to us by the Town Council, and their goal in all of this, as they've stated it, is to see the consequences, to find out what it would take to get to this tax rate increase number, and to understand better what the consequences of that act would be, right? So to say, okay, if we cut this amount, where does it come from? And what is the impact to town services, to school services, to staff and students? So I know that the Board Finance Committee has seen the details, and I think that we'd like to get into that worksheet if we can, and maybe go fairly quickly through the different levels. I don't think I'm going to read every single one, or we'll spend the night. Does anybody want a paper copy? Yes? No?
Board has a digital copy.
Okay.
No, we got it.
Sorry, I'm the paper queen. So the way that this is laid out, and it is pretty hard to see, but I will say that it is on our budget portal, on our school website. It's posted in the committee minutes from the finance committee the other night. And if you want to take a look at all of the details and you don't see them clearly on the screen here, you can certainly find them electronically. Quick review of what's going on here is on the first page, we have some additions that we need to put in. Between first and second reading, we often get information that causes us to revise our budget proposal from first reading. Remember, first reading was March 19th for the board. We're not even going to have a budget passed until June. So there's a lot of time that passes during which time you're given more information that allows you to refine your budget estimates. This nice pink piece at the top has two items in it. The first one is because the state passed the cell phone ban in the past couple of weeks, so that schools are not able to, or students are not able to have their personal electronic devices during the school day. It's going to cost us some money because there are places in the school curriculum at the high school where individual student cell phones are used in the art department and in the science department. And again, there's details around all of this stuff that we can share, but that's the quick piece. So we're adding about $54,000 to buy new cameras, new devices, iPads, things to replace what would normally be done on a student's personal device. The second piece is special education, where we have a constant change throughout the spring in information coming in on new students who are going to be joining us in the fall. Most of what happens that's new and exciting for us is in the kindergarten class that's incoming. We have been having, well, I haven't personally had the pleasure of having, but our special education department has been having meetings for the past month with about individual students coming in. And so they've identified 5 additional students that we didn't know about when we had first reading who are going to need individual one-to-one ed techs when they come to school in kindergarten. The special ed director and I spent some time together going through our list and going through what was in the budget and who's where and could we make some shifts. And we're reallocating what we already had in the first reading budget to the extent that we only are going to add 1 new position. That's on top of the 6 that were in the original budget. But these are things where we have to sort of go backwards before we can go forwards in terms of saving money, right? So if you look at that top section, what it's saying is we need to add $114,000 into the budget. And then after that, we need to make a $2.19 million reduction. So really our total target becomes 2.3 million of reductions. If you go into the green section, I like the green section. Green section is the gimmies that we got. These are the items in motion that we call it. And again, we're finding out information from outside sources. The great news was that our Anthem rate increase came in at about 8%. We had originally budgeted for a 14% increase, which sounds outrageous, but that's what they told us was going to be the maximum increase. So we laugh because we're like celebrating an 8% cost increase. Yay!
It's a bad celebration.
But the good news is that in our original budget, there's an extra almost $500,000 there that we don't need now because we can provide the same benefits for our staff at a lower cost than what was projected. Couple other small things in that one, Delta Dental, a little bitty reduction because I'm a really good estimator and I got real close. But it's a reduction and I'm taking it. And then some turnover savings in terms of retirees. We budget for retirees to have a stipend under their contract, but we also budget a reduction on the assumption that they're going to be less expensive Their replacement is going to be lower on the scale. And so the net change of all of that is about $17,000. So we like the green, we say, yay, we take that. Then we get into the level 2. This is an area, this sort of light colored yellow, where we tried to identify the things that would stay the furthest away from student-facing programs, from interactions with students, from direct impact on kids. So in this section, we've got the first three pieces are non-personnel lines, going down through the budget and further shaving off a little piece of all of the lines for supplies and professional development and contracted services, and any place that we could find a little bit of a reduction that didn't have anything to do with human beings.
And I will just add, like, before we even put out our first proposal, we did that line item analysis. And so it sounds like we're just doing it now, like, let's just cut 3% from all of the lines. But the reality is, before we did our first proposal, we meet with every principal, every department leader, and we look line by line and we do that shaving. And this year, when we did that, we cut $800,000 from that line item analysis. And so this 3% that Kate is talking about is in addition to that $800,000 that we had previously cut before the first proposal.
Right. So that work already went into first reading, and this is just a little further sort of squeezing of those non-personnel lines. And as we keep saying, that personnel is 82% of our budget. So there's not really a whole lot of dollars sitting around in those non-personnel lines that we can play with. But of course, that's where you look first, because then you don't have to talk about human beings. What you do talk about is reduction in potential availability of supplies and services, right? Then continuing on this sort of light yellow level 2, we have moving half of the Eight Corners interventionist position back into Title I. In our first budget proposal, we had tried to take that position out of the Title I grant. That's a federal grant that has been the topic of a lot of discussion at the federal level. The title grants have been sort of under attack over the past 2 years, and there was a great fear that they were going to evaporate and leave us without the potential of having that important service at our Eight Corners school. So we thought, okay, well, we're going to try to put that into the budget. Now it appears that we're going to have Title I funds for next year. So rather than move the whole position back, we're going to sort of say, okay, well, we'll put half of it, and we'll sort of hedge our bets, I guess you could say, against the future demise of Title I. But it does save us about 50 grand in the operating budget. The next two are eliminating 2 bus driver positions and eliminating 1 custodian position. Currently, the bus driver positions, we have 6 unfilled positions. We budgeted for a full complement of drivers because we need them. However, we don't currently have a full complement of drivers. We have 6 open positions, and what we've decided to do is to say, okay, well, we can take 2 of those out. We're functioning with 6 down. Maybe we can function with 2 down if we're able to. If it's still a net gain if we're able to hire those other drivers. The custodian position, we have a custodian who's currently working with us who's going to be resigning. He's submitted his resignation for the end of the school year, and we're just going to put off filling that position. We won't fill it. So again, this is not like without impact. You can see there's a whole column of impacts there, which are carefully written to tell you all of the consequences of these reductions, but they're not the kinds of things that are going to truly create a reduction in student services. Let's say that. It's staying away from students again, and not impacting the livelihood or the position of any existing employee at this time. Then we get into level 3. And level 3 is where it starts to get a little more difficult. Here's where we're talking about reducing student programs and services. We're talking about creating involuntary staff transfers. Again, we said at the very beginning that one of our goals was to protect our staff from being laid off. That doesn't mean that we can protect our staff from having to accept a different role from what role they're in today. Getting through level 3 involves eliminating building and tech positions at K2. It involves eliminating multilingual learner ed tech at the high school. And it involves eliminating teacher positions as well. So we have a Gates position that was in the budget originally to add a second Gates position at Wentworth. And we're pulling back on that one and saying, no, we won't do that. We have a middle school technology instructional coach position, which is currently unfilled. And we're proposing to say we'll do without that as well. The high school technology instructional coach role right now, we have that individual is retiring this year, and we have an open math position. We have several open math positions due to retirement as well. And so the proposal there is to take 2 positions and smush them into one. We would have a person that we would hire to be a part-time instructional coach and a part-time math teacher, which is kind of the model that we currently have with the other instructional coach at the high school who teaches part-time and is an instructional coach part-time. It does reduce our capacity for instructional coaching at the high school. They have the least instructional coach support of any of the buildings. It puts a little more of the burden onto the department heads to be their content area specialists. Again, the consequences are there. They're not great. So in terms of professional staff, again, we have another shift where we're moving an instructional coach, in half of an instructional coach into the Title II grant. That has some of the same pitfalls that you might find when we were talking about Title I, that we're not confident that we'll have that funding for next year. This year we can do it because we have the implementation of the math curriculum at the middle school, and this person would be directly responsible for helping with that implementation and the professional development that goes along with that. And Title II is directly targeted towards that work. So that's a 1-year solution for that situation, and it saves another 50 grand. And we get into the Wentworth School class size. We're proposing to eliminate 4 classroom teachers, which will increase class sizes at Wentworth. The math here is we have 2 teachers in this box that we're talking about, and then the other one is the Gates teacher, and then the 4th one is the next line down, restructuring academic support. We have a place for each of those teachers to go. Again, attempting to preserve people's livelihood, and that's described in the little box there. But we would be shifting things around so that class sizes for regular gen ed classrooms at Wentworth would be higher. This is in alignment with the board's new class size policy. We're still within that. But it's definitely a shift in terms of where students are placed in that building. The last item in level 3 is to convert 2 academic support ed tech positions into 1 teacher position. So again, talking about these involuntary transfers, when we're talking about ed techs, we're saying they might go from a gen ed position in academic support or a building ed tech or a library ed tech into what's most likely going to be a special education position, although there are some openings in gen ed as well. And having a teacher in the academic support world in lieu of the ed techs will allow us to maintain one of those teacher positions and a person who is fully qualified with skills in literacy support. So that takes us to the bottom of level 3. And level 3 is about the point where the leadership team, our leadership team said, wow, this kind of stinks, but okay, feels like we kind of got all the balls in the air here and we can maintain programs and services. We can maintain our staff. It's not going to be great, but we'll live with it. Everything under that line has this little bright red, don't do it, considered but not recommended. But we had to keep going because the ask was, show us what it looks like to reduce by what's now $2.3 million, right? So level 4, flip my page here. Level 4 goes back to programs a little bit for a minute, talking about eliminating summer read up at Wentworth School, which is the literacy program for currently for 3-5 mostly kids, the way it's designed now. And we got into that conversation because Community Services had told us that they were shifting their schedule for summer rec, and we were concerned to hear that they were going to move field trips into the middle of the week. And that the way that we've always had it worked out is that we have our program Monday through Friday, and then a lot of those same kids are going to summer rec and they're going to Funtown on Monday through Thursday, going to Funtown on Fridays with Community Services. And if Community Services is going to Funtown on Wednesday, I don't know if they're going to come and read a book because Funtown's so cool. Anyway, that's where we got into the conversation about the program and said, okay, well, if 25% of the program is going to be, diminished by kids not being able to attend or not wanting to attend, then maybe that's a place we could walk away from. Next item on here is the math curriculum. The original budget proposal has the full implementation of a new math curriculum from K through 8. And the reduction that we're talking about here would mean that it would only be implemented at the middle school, so grades 6 through 8 instead of K through 8. And that we would look to finish up K5 in the next year. So basically you're breaking it apart into a 2-part project. So that's a reduction, a limit, a change, a slowing of what we know to be a real need in terms of replacing the curriculum that we currently have, which is inadequate. And we found a great replacement, but maybe we slow down the implementation of that process. We have, again, some ed tech positions in this section. This would be, the strategy here would be to have our Learning Commons ed techs, that's the libraries. We have one at each K2 school, and we would eliminate half of each of their positions and have them be a building ed tech for the other part of their day. So it's sort of a ripple down effect. And the last item on here is talking about the potential elimination of a K2 principal. And this is the open position that is at Blue Point School. We all heard what an amazing person we have in that role right now as an interim principal. And we've also heard about how our central office leadership has had to step up and help out this year, both at Blue Point School and at Pleasant Hill School, for various circumstances that have arisen in terms of needing leadership and coverage. So we're offering up in this layer, we're offering up a pilot suggested opening of having, again, central office leadership pick up the slack there and provide leadership at one of the K2s. I will say that, again, I think I said nothing in this section is really something we want to do. But again, to get to our target, we're looking at all the areas of our organization. We're looking at, starting out with your supplies and working your way through non-educational staff, getting through educational staff, and then talking about administration as well. So pretty much every area is being targeted in the potential reductions. So that takes us to the bottom of level 4. Level 5 gets us into co-curriculars and extracurriculars. This lovely orange color talks about eliminating Wentworth Wentworth after school clubs and some combination of clubs and athletics at the middle school. And we don't really have a lot of details about what that would look like. We have just a number here trying to meet the target, right, to get to that bottom line. We have information about what the programs cost overall, what's in the budget proposal now, and how we might approach trying to make a reduction there if we need to get to that last level of this reduction. And if you go down to the very bottom, under the orange, it says that's our target. Here you go. This is what we came up with. Under the orange, we have this lovely pink section, which is just things that we talked about, but we aren't considering. But we did want to put the information out there that there were other areas. We have the rest of middle school co-curriculars and extracurriculars and high school co-curriculars and extracurriculars on here. In no way are we recommending that they even look at these things, but we wanted to put the information there again to say, you know, here's what these things cost. I'll say that what was at least pleasant to me this evening when we went to a visit with the Town Council Finance Committee was that they didn't really like the bottom part of this list any more than we did, which was nice. I know they have their targets, their dollar amounts that they want to meet, and I respect that. I think the consequences of what that would take might have been a little eye-opening for folks because they don't really know what that means, what their dollar amount means. I'm hopeful that they'll stop short of getting into level 4 and 5, certainly. I think what we heard was that, you know, they were comfortable with 1, 2, and you know, some were more or less comfortable with some of the things in 3. And so I think we're hovering around that in terms of where the Finance Committee is at. And I think we've got a couple more weeks for them to process through this stuff and to talk to the community. There's a bunch of community forums coming up. And figure out what their final say on all of this is going to be. And the town council has authority over the bottom line of the budget. They don't tell us what we put in our budget. That's the board's prerogative. They can't say, I like line 14, but I don't like line 16. But they can say, we need this many dollars. And you all go and figure out where that comes from. So that's what this exercise is about. You want to add anything, Diane? You've been reading through
I
this.
did all my talking earlier.
I know you've
So
read
I
through this
appreciate you
spreadsheet a
doing
few
this with
times.
me, in this segment of the meeting. No, I think Kate's done a really thorough job describing, you know, what our team has really been focused on for, I'd say, the last 3 weeks easily. You know, I can't say enough about my thanks to the full leadership team. These are probably the most challenging conversations that we can think about. I feel like I've said that a lot this year for lots of different things. I think as it relates to this budget, I think this is the most challenging budget year that I have been a part of since I've been at Scarborough. But I understand our officials' desire to be fiscally responsible and to have an understanding of what we're talking about when we're talking about what it takes to provide high quality education for our students. And I do get a sense from the meetings that we have had this week, including the one that we had just prior to this meeting, that is getting digested. And so I'm hopeful about that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So from here, we could go back. Do you want to go through the position impact sheet as well, or we just leave that up there as
Yeah,
a
okay.
resource?
I
Okay.
think that you've hit on those.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at it as kind of.
I know,
live.
it's,
And it is a public hearing, and so before people fall asleep, they might want to let us know.
they might want
what
to speak their
feedback
words,
is.
for sure, yeah. So the rest of the slides here that I put up are really just informational. Please go to our budget page. Please go look at all of the resources we're posting up there. There's a whole calendar of all the meetings. Every time we have a meeting, we put up all of the pieces that resources and agendas and meeting minutes and videos. This is another happy transition page that's just going to tell you what the next meetings are. And as the chair said earlier, we're going to reschedule our second reading and vote to be a little further out. It was scheduled to be next week originally. And I think I'm going to try to move that a little bit
Yeah, we've added that as an agenda item.
Exactly. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got.
All right, thank you so much, Kate. Now we will open the public hearing. So for those online, if you're wanting to make public comment in regard to the budget, you can raise your yellow Zoom hand. And for now, we'll come with the people inside. So if you just want to go ahead and line up the same rules that I'm sure you heard them when I said them the first times, the same rules for now.
Hi, I know everyone's had a really long day, so I'll try and be brief. My name is Ashley Fasulo. I live at 27 Arborview Lane. I'm the proud mom of 2 boys at Pleasant Hill School. Your presentation was lovely today. Thank you. I'm also one of the social life skills teachers, special education teachers at the middle school. I have proudly served this district for 9 years. I'm here tonight to talk about the recent communication regarding the request to reduce the proposed school budget, as we've heard a lot tonight, by 2-point-something odd million dollars, and the impact that that reduction has on our students and our staff. When we talk about reducing service levels, I want to be really clear what that means in practice, especially for students receiving special education services. It means fewer staff available to support students with complex needs. It means less individualized attention, fewer interventions, and reduced consistency in the relationships that are critical to student growth. For many of our students, these supports are not optional. They are essential for accessing their education. Over the last 9 years, I've seen firsthand how much progress students can make when they're given the appropriate resources, time, and support. I've also seen how quickly that progress can stall or even regress when those supports are stretched too thin. Special education is not a place where we can do more with less. Without consequences, sorry. The margin for us is already very, very tight. These potential cuts do not just impact staffing numbers on paper, they affect real students who rely on structured environments, consistent routines, and trusting relationships with the adults who support them. They would affect general education classrooms as well, where teachers depend on special education staff to help meet the diverse needs of all learners. As I was reading through the public comments from the meeting earlier this month, Sarah Kappelman, Garrett White, and Dylan White all expressed really serious concerns about some of the growing challenges related to supporting students with significant behavior needs in our district, and the impact that that's having on staff and the school environment. They emphasized that our current staffing, what we have right now, and programming and training leaves our educators feeling overwhelmed, and in some cases, as they shared, physically and emotionally exhausted. Both Kappelman and Mr. White highlighted that there's an increase in staff burnout, with some educators feeling dread and reporting physical strain, while also noting that the current situation is affecting, again, that learning environment for all students. I understand that budget decisions are complex. I applaud all of the work that I know you guys are doing. That presentation, it sucks the life out of you to see it on paper, but I know how much you guys, I know how much time and how much you're working on it. But I really urge you to consider what is going to be lost if we move forward with these reductions of this magnitude. As we know, once things are cut, they're really hard to replace. And so that impact gets felt immediately by students, and those effects can last for many years. Scarborough schools have a long tradition of providing incredible supports for all students. Obviously, I work here. My husband graduated from Scarborough High School. Like I said, I have two amazing boys in kindergarten and second grade at Pleasant Hill. So I feel multiple levels of commitment and kind of stress about this situation and how it's going to impact not only my job and my building and my community, but my children and our neighbors' children and all of those things. So, I think we've built a really great reputation as a school district here to support all learners, but I just ask that we really protect that commitment. And our students, especially the most vulnerable, the ones that I walk in and see every single day, are really depending on it. So I really thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hey.
my name is Lindsay Diminick. I live at 15 Forecaster Way, and this is really impromptu. I came to see my daughter sing in the Annie performance, and I work outside, so I'm a little damp from farming all day, so please excuse my hat. But I came tonight to watch my daughter sing tomorrow. The cast was thanked for being here, but I do want to point out that that was barely half of the kids that performed on stage in Annie, and there were another 20 working behind the scenes on the crew. It was mentioned how impactful it was to have the students sing at the senior dinner to build connection within the town between those with kids and those without. So I think that's something to continue talking about and encouraging the people with empty nests or to continue to get involved because these cuts will also affect them. So I said, every cut that we are looking at will not only impact the staff and students in our schools, but our community as a whole. It's hard to speak to one potential area of cuts tonight, but since the theater and chorus program brought me here, I'll just speak specifically to the arts, which is something I did at a school board meeting for the first time as a fifth grader in a similar town in Vermont when they were looking at cutting music education. But arts education is critical to developing empathetic, engaged, and creative students, which is also essential for our fast evolving workforce. The arts promote mental health and self-confidence, leading to better attendance and academic results. I joined the Music Boosters a little while ago, specifically because of Matt LaBerge. He is currently at a 0.25 position, but is definitely putting in more time, passion, energy, and commitment to every student that he teaches at the middle school. I was raised by an educator, a K through 4 speech and special educator. So I've been around teachers my entire life, and I'd like to think that I have a pretty good sense when someone is doing an exceptional job, and I see that in Matt. He comes to his students' other events, their fundraisers, their other theater performances. He gets them involved with the PSO and much more. Music is one of the first places students have agency in how they study the arts within the Scarborough schools. My daughter is in a class of 60 seventh graders. That's 60 to 1 right now with Matt. And he just never seems tired, overwhelmed, or ready to quit. There would be more in that classroom, but many were turned away. And this will happen again next year without increasing Matt's position. The arts are inclusive and they teach a lifelong skill that can be enjoyed at any stage in life, which I think is important when we look at what we teach. I'm asking the board to prioritize funding for qualified arts staff and to pass a budget that protects arts education for the 2026-27 school year and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. You can still come. Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Megan Morrow, and I am a second grade teacher at Blue Point School. I also want to start by thanking the school leaders for their immense work on putting together the budget and then going back through it, combing through to find savings where they could that wouldn't impact the people that provide this service for our community. And also to thank the school board for your support of the initial budget proposal. I'm here today to speak to the community and especially the town council in support of fully funding all of our educational needs at all levels of Scarborough schools. I heard members of the town council liken this budget process to corporate budgeting, but schools are not corporations. The purpose of our schools is to provide a high standard of learning and nurturing for our community's children in safe, welcoming spaces, not to boost a bottom line. As a teacher at Blue Point, I was disheartened to see the consideration of eliminating the building principal position, and especially after we just heard all the amazing work that Mrs. Daigle, that Jillian did, and is continuing to do for us. I can't imagine that going away. I do know that the work would be redistributed, but that is a full-time position, and that work being added on to our central office administrator and the two principals at Pleasant Hill and Eight Corners, that's going to establish an inequity for our students and staff at Blue Point, as well as a trickle-down negative impact to all schools in the district by pulling focus and time from those shared administrators who already have demanding, important jobs in their primary roles. Additionally, reassigning building support staff to eliminate the 4.5 ed tech positions, not sure how half a person position can be eliminated, but reassigning those positions is going to create an immediate and critical gaps for student support. At Blue Point, each grade level has a dedicated ed tech. That person can lead small group learning alongside classroom teachers. They supervise lunch and recess. They can seamlessly step in for teachers when we have meetings or when coverage is needed in lieu of substitute teachers due to an ongoing substitute teacher shortage. We cannot afford to lose their support at the grade level for those reasons. So yes, I know there is a cost to ensuring the success for our students and maintaining the high quality of instruction that is delivered by all the exceptional teachers in Scarborough, and supporting students and their families with adequate staffing. But I'm asking the community, and especially the town council, to reflect on our shared values and whether these cost savings of the cuts support those values, as well as what message it sends to the entire school community when education is undervalued through proposed cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online? Todd Walters online. We're gonna unmute you and you will be ready to go. I'll just give you a minor interruption when you get close to the 3 minutes. And you can go ahead. You just have to unmute yourself, Todd. You might have stepped away, maybe. Want to go to someone else? Is there anybody else online that's? Todd, do you, okay. I guess we'll just leave him on, and if he's able to unmute, he can, while we'll move on. Okay. All right. Seeing no others, what is it? Oh, yeah, let me close the hearing. Seeing no other public comment, we will go ahead and close the public hearing for the FY27 school budget. Given the time, two things. I know that there's a request for a 5-minute recess, but also, I think we probably should go ahead and extend the time. So, I'll entertain a motion to extend beyond the 9:30.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. And we will take a quick 5-minute recess. We'll come back at 9:09. Well, part of this. Oh. Oh, we have a while. You can have- Good evening. All right. All right, we will go ahead and get started. All right, good evening. Welcome back. We are going to continue on with 8.0. The continuing business 8.1 is to update the post-referendum building committee governance document. Sorry, I just stuck a candy in my mouth. I will refer you to the document. This is part of your packet. What we noticed in the, if you go to the third page, under number 5 officers, you'll notice that there is directive about the building leadership committee, and inadvertently we left off the one town councilor and then the facilities director from the list. And so my request tonight is that we update this document to include both of them. Obviously with the building director, the facilities director, excuse me, he is the one that has the knowledge and the history and the experience with the buildings. And so as we talk about these buildings and what changes need to be made, having that person at the table is really helpful and imperative to the leadership team as they talk through items. And then the town councilor, the addition of the counselor liaison, the town does own the schools, so the buildings. And so this is their opportunity to be present on the leadership team. So that is the only change right now. Are there any questions for me? Do I have a motion to approve the governance document changes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? And that's just unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, new business, 9.0 is new business, new 9.1 is the budget calendar. Mitchell, did you want to tee this up? I'm sorry, this is the discussion. Let me provide a little bit more feedback. This is the discussion to add in a special meeting for.
Due to the ever loving changes of the budget season, we are, as you can see, having a lot of feedback and looking at all the possible things we need to do for our budget. So we were looking to move our second reading to a special board meeting, possibly on the 19th. That being the only agenda item on that board meeting. It would have to be the full board to run through the second reading of the budget. As you know, policy wise, we will need it by the 20th. And that's the latest possible time we can do that. And it gives us the most amount of time to work on that budget, build it up to what we need, and still being within our policy guidelines.
Did you say, I'm sorry, did you say the 14th and the 19th?
19th.
The 19th. It's a Tuesday, we say?
It is. Assuming it would be at the normal 7 o'clock time.
It can be a time of your choice choosing, as long as we can make space available.
We could also meet online. We could do a Zoom meeting if that would make it easier. Right, because do we need a? Well, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't.
We can talk about that offline. As long
as
we can settle on a date.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, the 19th would work. I have a pre-existing commitment between 5 and 6 on that Tuesday. That I don't miss.
Well, and I know some people have work that runs later, so maybe we just leave it at 7 for normal time. Okay. Okay, so we'll set, so the conversation in front of us is to set a special meeting for Tuesday, May 19th at 7 o'clock, which would be the second reading of the budget. Any discussion? I'm sorry, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I just have one thing I'd like to, I know that where the cuts are going to end up is up in the air, but if it gets to level 4, by any as we move along and get closer to the 19th, I would like us to potentially think about, I'm uncomfortable with the principal not being at Blue Point full time, and not because I have full faith in you and Katie.
Oh, no, I'm.
I think that you have other jobs and duties that we brought you here for, and same with Katie. And I know Diane relies on you and the rest of the leadership team does. But also when you think about the staff at a school, that the principals are a leader. And to not have that consistent person there for the staff and for the families, I think is really difficult. So that's one I would like to see reconsidered, and the math curriculum. Separating that out over 2 years. I appreciate that the middle school would be first, but given that curriculum doesn't meet state standards right now, I have a hard time with.
Well, and
that
you know,
one.
to that point, one of the things that we did talk about in the finance meeting with the town council this evening is the consequences of deferment when we know that next year most likely will not be any more of a better financial picture.
Right.
And so I think if there is the ability to move some things forward, that would be probably wise on our part.
I believe the town council is having budget meetings every week, for the next few weeks. Are those, what time are those at and where are
Yes,
they?
they are going to have their next budget finance meeting is next Thursday. I believe it's also at 5 o'clock, and on the 14th also at 5
So
o'clock.
Thursdays at 5 o'clock, because I know that we've gotten a lot of comments from the community about the
Yeah.
budget, and I think it's really,
We can make sure that we post those in the newsletter so that the times are accurate.
yeah.
They were very clear in this evening's or this afternoon, whichever it is at this point, that they really want to take the next couple of weeks to get robust feedback from members of the community.
Yeah, I
to
just
help
want
them make their decisions.
Yeah, and I just think it's really important because I know we've been getting a lot of comments and emails, and there's been feedback, there's been, I think, things
Sure.
coming in as we've been at the
As we've been
meeting.
sitting here, yeah.
And so I really am glad that people are engaged and I'm interested in learning about that. But I think it's really important that we stress that the town council is actually more important in terms of the people who need to be hearing the comments and
Yes.
feedback.
I would agree.
And just make sure people are really clear on that, because I want to make sure they're hearing from everybody.
I think
Yeah,
to
I
that
just,
end- sorry.
sorry, I just wanted to add that we do have a social media post that we're putting out that is urging, trying to communicate to parents that there are these budget roundtables. Some are virtual. They're going to be at every elementary school. They're going to be at the Public Safety Building on Saturdays. So there is ample opportunity for people to participate virtually in person on weekends, on, weekday evenings. So yeah, and we, that is being communicated.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you. And I have been, as I respond to emails, I have been making sure to copy the council so that they're able to see the communications we're getting as well. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we have a first, and second. All in favor? And that shows unanimous, thank you so much. So we will add that to the calendar and the website, the May 19th at 7 o'clock.
Or we can
Okay.
do it on Zoom.
Or we can probably do it on Zoom. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. All right. I think in the interest of, let me just take a look at what we're,
This mix and mingle request.
what?
You
We
need
did
some-
that, we did that already.
Oh, you already voted on
Mhm.
it. On the list, you're right.
Okay.
How could I forget?
So 9.2 is the first reading of policy DJH, purchasing and contracting procurement staff code of conduct. 9.3 is the first reading of policy DN, school property disposition, property other than real estate. I think those are the only two that go together. So we're going to bundle those two if you want to go over those two together.
Sure.
Carla?
So as we go through our policies, we're continuing in reverse chronological order. Policy DJH is a mandatory policy that has to do with purchasing, contracting, and procurement. Staff code of conduct really talks about conflicts of interest when people are contracting with the district to ensure that there's no bias or inappropriate financial dealings being done. Not that we think there are, but there has to be. This is a requirement in order to procure with federal grants, this section has to be in compliance with the federal procurement guidelines. We have a much larger policy regarding the federal procurement guidelines, which interacts with this policy in some ways. But this simply essentially says you can't have a conflict of interest, you can't solicit or gifts or get kickbacks when contracting. So that's what this policy is about. We didn't do a whole lot of heavy lifting with it. We did eliminate the conflict section because it's in our other policy, and so that policy will govern, and there's a reference to that, which is DJ, which is bidding and purchasing requirements. That's the big federal procurement policy, in case you want to have any sort of controversy regarding federal procurement. Good luck with that. It's a fascinating topic. DN is a little more interesting. So this has to do with surplus property disposition. So as a municipal entity, there are rules of how you dispose of property once it's ended its useful life with you. We do have surplus property. We have buses that we put out of service and other vehicles and other items that at times when they become obsolete, we need to get rid of them, and we have to get rid of them in compliance with this policy. So for any property that is being disposed of with a value of more than $5,000, once it's declared surplus by the superintendent, there's steps that the superintendent has to take in getting rid of that property. The first of which is we talked to the town manager about it because of our kind of joint and we're intertwined with their budget. If they can use the surplus property, we'd offer to them first, and then it would be given for public sale. And so this is the policy that you would follow to get rid of surplus property. Very exciting. It's also a statutory requirement in Maine law, so this is compliant with that statute. Happy to take any questions about that. And I don't have any buses for sale.
All right. Any questions? Anybody wishing to make public comment? Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy DJH, purchasing and contracting procurement staff code of conduct, and first reading of policy DN, school property disposition, property other than real estate as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. 9.4 is the first reading of policy KE, public concerns and complaints.
We recently did the complaint policy regarding staff. This is for public concerns and complaints. And it is the same policy that has been in effect, which is if you have an issue, it should be resolved at the lowest possible level before being escalated. That is restated in here, and then it points to all the other complaint policies to make sure you're in the right policy, which sounds silly, except for there's some really important policies they have to follow when it comes to sexual harassment and other harassment specifically. And so it lists all the exceptions so that we're pointing people in the right direction in case they start here. And other than that, it really just says you have to resolve at the lowest possible level, and then you would go up the appropriate chain of command. I'm happy to take questions. It is somewhat similar to the staff policy, but this one obviously has to do with members of the public.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy KE, public concerns and complaints as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you. I'm going to bundle I'm going to bundle 9.5, 9.6, and 9.7. 9.5 is the first reading of policy BDB, board officers. 9.6 is the first reading of policy BEDA, notification of board members, and policy, item 9.7 is the first reading of policy BEDD, rules of order.
These policies are pretty standard and there are not a lot of changes to them. These are governance policies. So the first just indicates what the duties of the chair of our board does, the vice chair, and the secretary, which is our superintendent, for those who are wondering. We do have one. And it sort of lists that out. So at the beginning of the terms, when we elect officers, this is the document that indicates who's responsible for what. BEDA is notification of board meetings. This is governed by open meeting laws, which requires notification. It's why we can't have meetings without 3 days of public notice unless there's a special or emergency meeting. Our committee meetings also follow this rule, but this is the policy that sort of gives that out. And again, it's a requirement under Maine law for any open meetings, which we are subject to open meeting laws. Finally, BEDD says very simply, it's probably the shortest policy in here and I love it. It's one sentence in that Robert's Rules of Orders revised, which is the latest edition available, is the rules that we follow when resolving procedural uncertainties with the board. And I gave Shannon a cheat sheet because of this policy. Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you. All right. Are there any questions? Any public comment? No? All right. Do I have a motion to, let me finish first. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of policy BDB, board officers, the first reading of policy BEDA, notification of board members, and the first reading of policy BEDD, rules of order as presented?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Agenda item 9.8 is the appointment of our high school assistant principal.
Well, he is still sitting in the audience, so that is a good sign.
This is a good sign.
And look at the colleagues around
I know.
him.
And
If
they're
I-
all awake.
If I might just add. No, this evening I am really excited to bring forward to you Jeffrey Oliver, who's been nominated to fill this currently open position for FY '27 at the high school. Mr. Oliver earned his bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in accounting from the University of Maine, as well as a master's of education in curriculum and instruction and a second master's of science in ed leadership from the American College of Education. He worked in Pensacola, Florida as a math teacher and a head coach for boys and girls track. Since 2018, he has served as the athletic and activities director for York School District. I'm really excited to have Jeff join our leadership team as assistant principal.
Yeah.
Would you like to come up real quick? Real quick.
It's okay. We've extended our time, so don't worry. Yeah. I'll
15
start your
seconds.
timer for the lights to flash.
It'll be less than a minute. I just want to have the opportunity to thank the school board and Superintendent Dr. Neto and the high school administration for this opportunity. It's greatly appreciated. Looking forward to working together. As someone who lives in Scarborough and I have two children in the school district, and they've had a wonderful experience here. I also want to take the opportunity just to thank and appreciate the staff and the teachers, administration, the families in Scarborough. It's just really nice to be able to work in a community that's had so much positive impact on my family and myself. So that's really the biggest benefit. So I appreciate that. I'm really looking forward to working among students and staff just to support growth and celebrate successes and just to be in the building day to day and present. Really excited for that opportunity. So thank you. I'm honored to be here and looking forward to what's next.
Thanks.
Right. No public- Do I have a motion to approve the appointment of the high school principal? It's presented.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? I will just quickly say that you have a wonderful team you are joining, Jeff, and not only, well, especially at the high school, that the high school team is very close to my heart. My son went through the high school and is very close to the administrators there, and you, for a variety of reasons. But you have a really, really good team you're joining. And so congratulations. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for you, but even broader than the high school, the rest of the leadership team is a really awesome team. So you're among good company. So congratulations and welcome. All right. Any other discussion?
Watch out for my kids.
Yeah. Mine has graduated, but John's are still there.
Names sooner later.
That's right. All right, all in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. Congratulations. All right, and agenda item 9.9 is the appointment of the middle school 7th grade softball coach.
Yes, in your packet, you'll see that as presented, and I respectfully ask you to approve the appointment.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the middle school 7th grade softball coach as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that shows unanimous. Thank you so much. The new agenda item 10.0 is adjournment. Without any objections, we will adjourn. Look at that, 9:32. Nicely done. Have a good evening.